Gabby Petito never goes outside.
Welcome back to Therapy Crime Scenes, where I explore true crime through the lens of mental health, seeking understanding, compassion, and lessons for healing. I'm John Cordray, a licensed professional counselor, and today we're diving into a case that gripped the nation and broke our hearts. It's the tragic story of Gabby Petito. This case isn't just a headline. It's a story of love, loss, and mental health struggles and systematic failures that demand we look closer. Gabby's story is heavy, and I want to approach this with respect that it deserves. I'll examine the mental health indicators that emerged, the red flags of domestic abuse, and the recent developments that continue to shape her legacy. If this topic feels heavy or it's too close to home, take care of yourself, pause if you need to, and know that resources are available if you need them. All right, so let's begin. Gabby Petito was a 22-year-old dreamer. She was an aspiring travel vlogger with a radiant smile and a passion for adventure. Born in Blue Point, New York, she met Brian in high school, and the relationship blossomed into an engagement by 2020. They were drawn to the van life movement, a nomadic lifestyle popularized by social media. Gabby and Brian set off from Long Island in a white Ford Transit van, documenting their journey on Instagram and YouTube.
Was it sunset?
Their posts showed a picture-perfect romance of sunsets, campfires, and cartwheels on beaches, but beneath the curated feed, cracks were forming. From a mental health perspective, social media can amplify pressure to project happiness even when struggling. Gabby's posts were aspirational, but friends later revealed tensions. Brian's controlling behaviors, like taking Gabby's wallet to prevent her from going out, hinted at control, a pattern where one partner manipulates and isolates the other. As a therapist, I see this as a red flag for emotional abuse, which can erode self-esteem and create a sense of dependency. Gabby's isolation far from home in an isolated van likely intensified these dynamics. Their trip took them through Kansas, Colorado, Utah, and Wyoming, but by August, their relationship was unraveling. On August 12, 2021, a 911 call in Moab, Utah, reported a man slapping a young woman near their van. This incident, captured on police body cam footage, became a pivotal moment and a missed opportunity. The body cam footage from Moab is difficult to watch. Gabby is visibly distraught. She's crying uncontrollably, wiping the tears from her face, and rubbing her knees, which is an anxiety in physical form. She tells officers she has bad OCD and apologizes for being mean, taking blame for the argument. Brian, calm and composed, describes Gabby as crazy and says they both have mental health issues but aren't medicated. The officers, noting a cut on Gabby's cheek and scratches on Brian, concluded it's a mental health crisis, not domestic violence. They separate the couple for the night. Brian to a hotel, Gabby to the van, but no charges were filed. Let's unpack this. Gabby's behavior screams trauma response. Her self-blame, rapid speech, and physical agitation suggest that she is in a state of hyperarousal, common in abusive relationships where victims feel responsible for their partner's actions. This is textbook for domestic violence. It's where victims often protect their abuser out of fear, love, or shame. Brian's demeanor, cool, collected, even joking, raised alarm bells. Forensic psychiatrist Dr. Ziv Cohen, reviewing the footage, called Brian cold and calculating, noting his calmness contrasted sharply with Gabby's distress, fitting the profile of an abuser who manipulates the narratives. The police misstep here is pretty glaring. By labeling a mental health crisis, they stereotyped Gabby as hysterical, missing the domestic violence context here. Now, to be fair, if you're not trained on how to identify domestic violence, it's likely they would just chalk it up to mental health issues. They probably meet a lot of people who have mental health issues. So I don't really blame the police, but I think we need to train the police to be able to identify domestic abuse. A trauma-informed approach here would be to question Gabby privately, Offering a victim advocate, even photographing the injuries, could have changed the outcome. Instead, Gabby was left alone in her van near her alleged abuser, reinforcing her isolation. As a counselor, I can't help but wonder, what if a mental health professional would have been called at the scene? What if Gabby would have received the help through the lens of trauma-informed care? Could they have recognized Gabby's fear and helped her feel safe enough to disclose the truth? Recent analysis, like the 2022 independent review, confirmed the officers misclassified the incident and failed to follow Utah's lethality assessment protocol, which could have identified Gabby as a high-risk victim. The systematic failure here underscores the broader issue. Law enforcement are often not trained to identify narcissistic abuse. Gabby's case highlights the need for trauma-informed policing to save lives. After Moab, Gabby's social media updates stopped. On August 25th, she posted her last Instagram photo. On August 27th, her mother, Nicole, received an odd text from Gabby's phone. "Can you help Stan? I just keep getting his voicemails and missed calls." But Gabby never called her grandfather Stan by his first name, which raised concerns for her mother. By August 30th, a text reading "no service in Yosemite" came from Gabby's phone, but her mother doubted Gabby sent it. On September 1st, Brian returned to his parents' home in Northport, Florida, alone, driving Gabby's van. Gabby's family reported her missing on September 11th. The ensuing media storm, fueled by TikTok sleuths analyzing Gabby's post, brought unprecedented attention. A couple who spotted Gabby's van on video in Grand Teton National Park helped narrow the search. On September 19th, Gabby's remains were found in Wyoming's Bridger-Teton National Forest. The coroner ruled her death a homicide by blunt force trauma and manual strangulation, estimating she died 3 or 4 weeks earlier. The mental health impact on Gabby's family was devastating. Her stepfather described collapsing when he heard the news about Gabby. Grief like this can trigger complicated mourning, where loved ones grapple with guilt, anger, and the what-ifs. For Gabby, trapped in an abusive dynamic, the psychological toll likely included learned helplessness, a state where victims feel powerless to escape. Her isolation far from support amplified this, and Brian's actions post-disappearance, using Gabby's debit card and sending texts to create an alibi, suggest a lack of remorse, potentially pointing to narcissistic or sociopathic traits, though I hesitate to give a diagnosis without a clinical evaluation. Brian became a person of interest but refused to cooperate. On September 13th, he left home, and his parents reported him missing 4 days later. On October 20th, his remains were found in the Florida Carlton Reserve alongside a notebook where he confessed to killing Abby, claiming she was injured and he ended her life to spare her pain. Authorities ruled death by suicide. Recent developments have kept Gabby's case alive. In 2022, Gabby's parents filed a $50 million wrongful death lawsuit against the Moab police alleging negligence. In November 2024, a judge dismissed it, citing Utah's Governmental Immunity Act, but the Petitos are appealing, arguing the law is unconstitutional. They also settled lawsuits against Brian's parents in 2024, claiming that Brian's parents knew Gabby was dead while publicly expressing hope. These legal battles reflect the family's quest for justice and systematic change. Gabby's parents launched the Gabby Petito Foundation to support missing persons cases, especially for marginalized groups, addressing the missing white woman syndrome that critics say skewed the media coverage. Their advocacy shows resilience, channeling grief into purpose, a coping mechanism that I often see in trauma survivors. Gabby Petito's story is a call to action. Mental health indicators such as self-blame, anxiety, and isolation were missed, and systematic failures let her slip through the cracks. As a counselor, I urge you to trust your instincts. If you or someone you know is in an abusive relationship, resources like the National Domestic Violence Hotline is available 24/7. For law enforcement, trauma-informed training is non-negotiable. We've got to do a better job of training our officers. Gabby's legacy lives in her family's advocacy and the conversations we're having. Healing starts with awareness, compassion, and action. If this story touched you, talk to a trusted friend or a therapist. We need to talk more about domestic violence and what to do when you find yourself in a relationship that's abusive. What did you think about this case? What do you think about this relationship that Gabby and Brian had, or about Brian's actions when nobody could find Gabby? This is a very unique case. It is a heartbreaking case, and I'm really curious to know what your thoughts. What do you think Gabby was going through in this relationship? If you've been in an abusive relationship, you probably know all too well. That's all for this video of Therapy Crime Scenes. Thank you so much for tuning in, and until next time, take care of yourself. And we'll catch you later. Bye.
I love the band.